This video is going to cover the basics of LinkedIn, including the LinkedIn profile and a couple different tools you can use to find jobs and connect with folks on LinkedIn. I'm going to start by talking about your profile. So the first thing I want to talk about on your profile is how to edit your public profile and your URL. So once you're on your profile page, you should be able to see this place where you can click up in the top right corner. And if you click that, again, in the top right, you should be able to see a place to edit your custom URL. This is a really good tool so that you can share your LinkedIn URL in your email signature, on business cards, on your resume, and other different places. And when you change it, you can get rid of all the random numbers and letters that LinkedIn throws in there and change it to something just like your name. So now back to the profile. So one of the most important pieces of your profile is this professional headshot. And while we offer them for free at our fall and spring career fairs, that may be a little ways from now. And so you, in the meantime, can just get somebody's portrait mode and stand against a neutral wall and get a nice photo taken of yourself. This helps people connect a name to a face. And if they've only met you once or twice, this can be a really nice reminder that they do know you and they do know who you are. You can also see that there's a background photo behind that, and LinkedIn has a default one, which you're welcome to keep, or you can change it to something that's affiliated with Xavier. This is a really good opportunity, though, if you are in a creative major, perhaps graphic design or something like that, to actually design something and show off some of your skills. Next, we're going to talk about your headline, which is this line that's right underneath your name. It'll default to student at Xavier University because that's kind of the most basic information about you. But because there are so many students at Xavier, it's not going to help you stand out. So we want to think about what are ways that we can help you use this headline to actually help yourself stand out. So you could think about adding your major in there. So you might say, I'm a nursing student at Xavier University. Maybe you're in a leadership role in a club or an organization. And so maybe you want to put student leader at Xavier University. Maybe you have an internship, so you're going to go with your internship title, or maybe you're a student athlete and you choose to include that. It doesn't really matter what you change it to, but use it intentionally to help you stand out from your peers at Xavier. And when we keep scrolling down, we see the section called the About section. And you'll see mine is pretty short. There's not a ton of information in here, but it's a little bit more detail about who I am and what I'm interested in. But what I'd recommend doing is shopping around for people in your industry and see what they do and what they have in their About section. And when you find something you like, try and copy that a little bit. Don't copy it verbatim, but use it as inspiration in writing your own. If you're not a natural writer, don't worry. You don't have to write a lot of information in here, but it should be a little bit more information. And it should be different things than we can figure out just from your headline, which is some kind of, marketing student at Xavier or something like that. The farther down we scroll, we see a little bit more information. So this is your dashboard. This is just information that's private to you about who's looking at your profile and things like that. And you can also see your activity. So when you like posts or you share posts or things like that, it's going to show up there. And then we get into your experience. And you can really just copy and paste your resume here. You don't have to worry too much about what it looks like. But if you have a resume that you're proud of, you can just copy and paste those bullet points. Some people will include more or less information depending on what they're trying to show off on their LinkedIn profile. One thing that's really cool, as you can see here in this experience, is that I've attached something. So if you completed a certain project for an internship or a class and you wanted to show it off on your LinkedIn profile, you can do that really easily by attaching it to that section. Then we also see an education section, a volunteer experience. So you can go ahead and add those things as they are relevant to you. And then we also have a skills and endorsement section. So what's really great about LinkedIn is you get tons of different skills that you can add to your profile. As you can see, I've added several. And unlike your resume, you can actually use those transferable skills here on this page. So if there's a skill that you have that you're really great at, even if it's not super relevant to what you hope to do, or even if it is relevant, but it's not that technical skill, you can go ahead and add it. And you can also see that you can get endorsements. So if you really want your social media skills to stand out on your profile, you could ask people who've seen you demonstrate that skill to endorse you in it. So these should be people like supervisors or colleagues or faculty members. Don't just ask your friends if they haven't been able to see you actually demonstrate that skill, because we want these people to really be able to vouch for you. And if it's an empty endorsement, then it's not really saying anything about your skills. So we also have a space for languages and organizations on your LinkedIn profile, so you can add those. And then you also see an area for interests. So this is the list of all the companies and the people and the organizations that you follow. And it's a really good idea to make sure that you're following any company leaders in your industry. And it's also important to make sure that you connect with groups, follow schools that you might be interested in if you're interested in pursuing graduate school or working at a higher education institution. But just make sure that you're following people, especially those that stand out in your industry. And that's kind of the basics of the LinkedIn profile, but none of it matters if you don't actually engage and post on LinkedIn. So when I'm trying to think about what should I be posting about, I like to go to the home page and look kind of over on the right-hand side. There are two really good columns that help you see what's trending. And if there's something trending related to your industry, you want to make sure you post about it. You can also post things like class projects. So if you created a project in a group and you presented at the end of the semester, maybe you'd share a picture of that and share about that. Maybe you did lab work or research, things like that. If you got an internship, you'd want to make sure you posted about that. Or maybe your club or organization did a big event and you're really proud of it and you want to show that off. At the very least, make sure you're liking and commenting on other people's posts. So if you're connected with former supervisors for internships or things like that, you'd want to make sure that you just like and engage with their posts and follow along with them and see kind of what they have going on. So now I'm going to talk about a couple different tools that you can use in terms of trying to grow your network. So the first one I'm going to show you is Xavier University's alumni tool. And you get to it by going to Xavier University's page and then scrolling down, and then on the left-hand side, you're going to see alumni. So if you click that, it is going to show you all of the alumni who have LinkedIn pages, and it will also show you current students too. So you can search by where they live. So if you're trying to target a certain geographical area, if you're trying to target a certain company, either certain functions of an industry or certain majors, you can do that. And then you can scroll down and see the people who meet all of those requirements. So if you find somebody that you're interested in connecting with, you can just go ahead and hit connect. But if it's somebody that you don't know, make sure you send them a message so they know who you are. And this is especially true for people that you really never have met before. So if there's an alum, maybe they graduated in 2013 or so, and maybe they have a job that you're really interested in. Maybe you're interested in something like institutional research. So you would hit connect, and then you would just make sure that you hit add a note, and then you can kind of explain why you're connecting with them. Maybe you don't know them, but maybe you're really interested in what it is that they do, things like that. And then similarly, maybe there's a certain company you want to target. So maybe you really want to work at Google. So if you go to Google's page and then you click people instead of alumni, you're going to see all of the people who work at Google and have a LinkedIn profile. So again, you can search by location. So if there are certain locations you're trying to target, if you were trying to find Xavier on where they studied, you could do that. You can also search kind of what is their function at Google and then what they studied as well. So what was their major? And then you can again go down and scroll, and maybe you see, oh, I'd really like to connect with this person who's a software engineer, so I'm going to hit connect, and then make sure again that you add a note if you don't actually know someone. And so those are some really good tools with targeting folks. But LinkedIn also has a job searching feature. So let's say you were interested in project management internships in the Cincinnati metropolitan area. You can go ahead and search for those things. But when you find a job that you're interested in applying for, you can actually see in that job posting that you might, if you have any connections who work at that company, or if you have any alumni who work at that company. And so it's showing us that 16 people who used to work at Xavier now work at MedPace, and we can see who they are. So if there was someone that we were interested in connecting with, we'd want to hit connect, and then again, send a note. If you're interested in working at MedPace, or maybe you have questions about what it's like to be a corporate recruiter or internal auditor or whatever it is, you just send them a note, and then you try and set up a time to meet with them and talk. And now it might be virtual. And then the last thing I have on LinkedIn is do not be creepy. So when you're on LinkedIn, if you look at someone's profile, they actually receive a notification from LinkedIn that you've looked at their profile. And I know this is different than other social media sites, but that's because LinkedIn is all about job searching. And the goal is to really connect you with people in your industry. And for that to be effective, you need to know, is your profile being looked at by people in your industry? There is a way to change it so that you can turn that off. But then you don't get to see who's looking at yours, which isn't helpful when you're trying to do a dedicated job search. So if you have any questions about LinkedIn, we encourage you to connect with a career coach. You can, as always, schedule an appointment with us through Handshake, and we'd be more than happy to help you.